Okay, so first thing in rooms that we want you guys to do is in the top right-hand corner, you click on your name once you're logged in. If it's your first time logging in, you may already land on this screen here. So in this section, what I want you to do is if you need to, you can change your name here. So for some people, instead of it saying Brittany Curtis, they would want to edit this to say Miss Curtis instead. So that's where you would make that adjustment. That would be what your families would for your name on those classes there. Should you be in a need to adjust your preferred language, you can change your language here. What this would do is even if your family sends you over their communication in English, if you change your preferred language to Spanish, it would automatically translate that for you. So your families on their end are going to have the exact same feature within the Saddle Mountain app. But for teachers, this is where you would come in and make this adjustment should you need to. Of course, if it's English or it's going to default to English anyway, then it's going to send that over to English when they text you in Spanish. With notification preferences here, we're going to want you to pick your time zone. What this will do is you'll get an email notification delivered weekdays from 8 to 7 based on this time zone. So that's why that time zone being selected is going to be important. Those email notifications you can turn on would be based on messages. So you can toggle on to receive an email notification for any unread messages that you have in rooms. You may find this beneficial if you're thinking about the fact that during the school hours, if you get a message, then you'll get an email once an hour on the hour for anything that is unread there. Announcements.
You both come through text or email?
This will come through hourly.
Okay.
Yep. Email. Great question. Announcements, you can also turn on to get an email or an announcement. It'll send a daily digest of all the announcements you've created. That will be from 6 to 8. This could be a preference. I usually say if you are making those yourself, then there's no need to turn that on there. Question on that one? No? Okay. Perfect. We'll jump over now to the rooms portion. And so in the main portion here of rooms, this is going to be where you're going to see all of your classes that are going to come over from your student information system. You'll see them to the left-hand side here, and then you'll see them if you like the bigger dashboard view. But one thing you'll see is if they are unpublished, you'll have that notification there letting you know you have your classes that are sitting in an unpublished state. In this section, I'll go ahead and click to go into one of my classes. And the first spot I'm actually going to take you to is the settings section. Within settings, this is where you can come to also rename your class. So this will also be how it appears for your family. So if you're thinking about the names of your classes they come over, sometimes it's going to come over and say homeroom. So some people will change it to Miss Curtis's homeroom. But whatever will make it easy for your families to identify the name of that class there. So you would just click into here, type that out and hit that checkbox. You can change the class color. All this is really going to do is change this line up here, so not going to do anything crazy, but there's that option. If you guys have Google Classrooms, you'll click to import and connect your Google Classroom. So you'll see here that I actually have mine connected, so I don't have to worry about clicking on anything here. And should I need to unlink my Google Classroom, then I would click unlink there. In order to see this, you do have to be the primary owner of the class. So if you're in your classroom right now and you do not see that, that's likely because you are not the primary owner of the class to be able to connect that with Google Classroom. Another section here is going to allow you to pick the areas that you want to have additional access to when it comes to rooms. So we have behavior, which is an optional feature. So you can toggle that off if you plan to not use it. We've also rolled out the option for sound effects. So if you want to add sound effects when points are given or taken, you can really dive into all of those pieces there. So we got quite a bit of requests for that. That has now been added. And I'll show you how to use that section. Classwork, go ahead and toggle that section off. And then materials being a section that, of course, you can add additional resources. And I'll show you again how to use that. But you can make those updates in the section. If you turn them off, you can always turn them back on at a later point. Class info, going to be a section that you can really come in and maybe put a syllabus or put some information about you. So in this section, I would click edit, and then it will open up this to where I can start to type, copy and paste something in, add links to my text there. So you'll see here where I added my link to that specific text. Another great place to kind of put some office hours. So we really want families to know that you'll be looking at this Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. Please allow 24 hours for a response. That may vary for your district, but really making sure that, you're kind of setting that expectation. We don't want you guys, families to think you're going to look at this, at night. We don't want them thinking that you're going to look at this on the weekends, but a great place to kind of set some of that expectation. And again, even sharing a little bit of information about yourself here. Once you have filled the section in, and click here to hit save. On the right-hand side here, you will see class members. So any additional staff that are linked to this classroom or that you have added will show up here. And then any of your students will show here as well. So when you hover over a student, you see nested people underneath that student, that is going to be their guardian. So you'll see here where I have the option to hide my guardians or see my guardian. So if you see names that are unfamiliar to you, that means that those are likely the guardians for that student. With the 3 dots here, you can come in and add staff members. You can add students, and you can also download paper versions of the guardian invites. When it comes to adding students, this is likely something that you're not going to need to do if it's not a manually created class. So with all of your classes coming over from your student information system, as students are going, they should be flowing into your class as expected. So you should not have to do that. And then with the guardian invites, we will be sending those out ourselves. But if you find that, you feel like a family member might respond better to a paper invite, if you're thinking back to school, parent-teacher nights, things like that, where you might be in front of the parent, then you could go ahead and give them that downloaded invite there. Jump over to the behavior piece. So with behavior, of course, this is going to be that section if you're thinking Class Dojo or just one of those areas where you can give students those points. So to start off, the first thing that you would want to do is actually create your points library. So this is going to be empty for you. So you might want to partner and maybe determine what are some values that make sense for this section. So you could come in, click add new, and then type what you want to give points for.
And this is only if they choose to use the behavior system, correct?
Only if you choose to utilize this section. You do not have to do this, but if you choose to utilize this section, you would want to come in and start to create that points library.
Perfect.
With this, you can then go ahead and start to add what you want that point value to be and select an icon as well from the icon library here, and then click add. You don't have to create a thing to take away points. So we do see that a lot of times our school districts just want to focus on acknowledging the positive behavior, so they don't even do a takeaway points option. And then you can do the same thing if you want to give options for how to spend points. With the share library option here, if you have multiple classes and you don't want to recreate this points library for all of your classes, you can just click here of where you would like to share those points, this point library to. You can also download reward passes if you wanted to hand those out. Going back to the side of things, once your point library is completed, you can click on the students that you want to give points to. You can select all of your students. But when you select your students, you'll then come in here and then add points. And now we'll see Sarah's point total go up to 3 here. And also decide to leave a note. With these notes, you can also send this as a message to guardian. An important thing to note here is guardians do not get a notification for the behavior component. However, if you leave a note for that behavior and decide to send it as a message, they would then get a notification letting them know that there's something updated there. Next, we'll take a look at the class data. So if you really wanted to kind of get in what giving points looks like for your entire class and have a graph view of that, you could come in here and do so and see whether it's for the entire class or if it's just for specific students, maybe what you have given to them. You'll see down here, I also have a transaction shown in this way where I can download a CSV But one of my favorite things is I can also export as a PDF. So let's say I wanted to send this to Sarah's parents. I could then attach this to a message to Sarah's parents so they could see her behavior if it's for the month or whatever given time that I have selected. Jumping into the materials. So you can really think of this as your own document folder section for your classroom. So this can be a section where you come in and add, maybe you want to provide the handbook within the section so that way they always have access to it. Your school supply list. Are there certain resources that you constantly talk about being great resources for parents to utilize with their students? Just think of this as a place, again, that families have access to and what would be beneficial for them to have access to within your room here. So you can create folders, or you can click add to add links or upload your files here. When you have folders that are created, if you click on the three dots and click open, once I'm in this section, I could upload flyers and know that it's landing in my flyers folder. Let me get back out of there. Jump over to the messages section. So this is going to be that two-way piece of communication. So when we click on new, we have our message, and then we can start to pick who we want to communicate with. So in this section here, you'll see the students, and then of course nested under them, their guardians. So in this section, I could choose to communicate with Brittany and her parents. I could choose to just communicate with her parents, one or both of them. One thing to be careful and mindful of is in this section here, I could click people that are outside of a family. So Grant's not in this family. I likely don't want to do that because now I've created a group essentially where they all could communicate and see each other's responses back and forth. So with this section, it's best to think with the message that I do just select only the family involved and then start to type my message. I can record my message. And then I could come here and upload my files as well, whether that be a file, a document, or an image. And then when you're done, you would hit send here. The other option for sending out messages is going to be the broadcast option. So with this, if you have a message that needs to go to multiple families, this is going to function like a blind carbon copy where they have no idea who's in the message. And when they respond back, it only comes back to the teacher here. So you can select all users. Is it a message for all guardians or all students? Then you could do it that way. Or in this situation, I could select Brittany's parents, LV's parents, and Casey's parents. And again, they would have no idea who's in this message. And then again, when they respond back, it's only coming back to me. Questions with messages, either the one-on-one or the broadcast?
With the broadcast, so they don't see any replies. It's just, that's more like what we used Line for, right? Kind of like it's just coming out. They don't see any of the replies, but they can reply to the person who sent it. Correct. And then if you reply to them, then it's just between you two, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, because then what it does is it essentially would branch that message off, but you could still communicate again back in that if you needed to. So like here's a broadcast message here. Let me see if I can find one where there was maybe a little bit of back and forth with this being a test. I can get a little crazy there. Maybe this one. Okay, so in this section here, let's say I send my message out. I could click info here, and it's going to show me who all I sent it to, and then who all has actually seen it. So you also then have that read receipt attached to those as well. In a one-on-one conversation, you have read receipts also. So let me get, this is a one-on-one maybe, but this would change to seen once it has actually been a message that has been seen. My better option might be actually my back and forth when I'm talking to myself. So you'll have that seen there to help you know when families have actually seen something you've sent out. All right. Questions again with this section here?
When you were on the messages tab and you said someone not in the family was in there, is that something that can be done accidentally?
Something that could be done accidentally, but
like, what did you select that put that person in there? Then you
I actually clicked on their name.
Okay.
Yep. Yeah. So you would actually physically have to click on a name to make that happen. Yep. Yeah.
Okay.
I want to make sure it's not like it just can happen. No, yeah, you actually have to click on it. And the great thing is let's say I clicked on it and then realized, oh, well, no, that person doesn't belong here. I can just click on their name without having to click back in to make that happen. All right. We'll jump over now to, okay, got it. We'll jump over now into the home screen here. And so this is going to be the area where if you haven't published your class, first things first is it is going to ask you to publish their class. You don't have to do so, but that is going to be where to make this live for families, you have to hit publish. So anything you do in here when the class is not published, of course, families can't see, but when you publish, so actually, I'm going to jump really quickly to this class that isn't published. So that's what that actually would look like, where I would want to then come in and click publish to then make this to be viewed by the public. But in this section here, think of this as I just need to get information out, maybe reminders for picture day. I don't need a response back. This is going to be that section. Think of it as your own personal live feed, your own personal stream to share information out. So here you can come and type your announcement. And you have your options here as far as formatting goes. You can attach files or images. You can add links here. And then if you have multiple classes, so if I have 3 or 4 classes and I want to say welcome back to school to all of them, I would just toggle this on and select the classes that I want to share that out to. And then I can also schedule this message to go out at a later date and time. So really thinking about, you guys have a lot of stuff planned out and know of some dates in advance. It'd be a great way to kind of get ahead if you have a planning period to kind of just have that go out at a later time for you. Once you send out an announcement here, very same thing where even though people cannot respond, I can click in and see who has actually seen the message that I have sent out. If you need to make any edits in this section, you can click on your announcement to edit the announcement. You can duplicate the announcement or delete that announcement. Questions in the announcement section?
Does that automatically translate?
Yes. Yeah. So with families, once they download the app, one of the very first questions they are actually asked once they log into Rooms is to pick their preferred language. So they pick their language. You can send them English, and it's going to translate in whatever language they have selected.
Same for messages and broadcasts?
Yep. Yeah. Yep. So it's automatically going to translate all of that for you. There we go. Okay. So this is the Thrillshare app. So of course, for the teacher side of things, you would go to the Thrillshare side of the app. If you try to do this on a call and you haven't published a class, you actually will not see anything here. So just a heads up there, this will only show your classes that are published. So if I click into my class 1, you'll see that we do have a notification there. But I can click into my class here. And then if I click the little plus sign, I can create an announcement. So giving me the same option to share now, schedule. If I have this plus sign, I can add photos from the gallery, camera, document, Google Drive, or links. And then same thing, I can create messages. So in this view here, again, I can all right. So we're seeing it. Okay. So in order to create a class, we go back to my all classes here. So you'll have the option here to create a class. You wanted to give your class a name. The class ID, ideally, maybe just making in this situation, if I were creating this class, and what we typically do for clients at 1-1 is I'll just do testing 2425 here for the name. So you want to make sure it's something unique. Don't want to chance that it is actually a class ID that could come over from your student information system. Select the campus that you want to attach that to. You don't have to select a term if you don't want to, but all that term would do is we assign dates to terms. And when those terms roll out, it would wipe that class. So if it is a class that you just want up and you want to take down when you feel like you want to take it down, then in that situation, don't worry about the terms. For the primary owners, you'll likely type in your name right here. To add your students, you can add students by CSV, and that's by having a CSV of all of their IDs. So if you have their IDs, upload that file here. If you don't, you can come in this section and start to search for names of the students that you want to add to your class. Once you're done, you would hit create class. But also you'll see your
teacher is going to be more for after school clubs or activities and things like that, correct?
Yes, correct. Yeah, after school clubs, athletics a lot of times ends up being one. I think we've seen in some cases where maybe counselors might create something, what to that effect. But yeah, anything that would not be a class that's coming over in your student information system, and you need to communicate with that group. All right. And then, of course, that class would come up here. You would click into that class and go through those steps to get it published.
For staff, for class members and staff, if they're not in our district, so if we have a parent volunteer or something we want to include in there, that doesn't work, right? They have to be through Power School.
Or if they want to be involved on the staff side of things.
Yeah.
So, say we have someone that volunteered coaches, but they're not a Saddle Mountain employee. Are we able to add them in as staff? Or
yes.
Okay, and that's creating a class.
No, so that would be you would have to go through the user management side of things and essentially create them an account, but giving them only access to rooms, and then they would only have access to see the rooms that they have been added to.
Okay, so someone would have to contact a power administrator to be able to add them, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, and now with students, it's different. Because we run into situations where people, have maybe homeschool students or students outside of the district, depending on their situation. For students, they do need to have the Saddle Mountain, basically. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. Mm-hmm. Great questions.
Yeah, that's good.
And then also as far as a class, if you accidentally publish a class, the only way to unpublish that class is to actually get a hold of an administrator for rooms to unpublish that class. And I think it's just more so to make sure people aren't trying to take down a class because maybe they're trying to hide something or anything like that. It's just they would need to reach out to ask for a class to be published. And then I guess it's another helpful. So with rooms, we of course have our center. So you have articles and videos as well.
You sound a little robotic.
Oh no, what's going on with the sound?
Is it still doing something about articles? Oh, that helps center at the bottom.
Yep.
Okay.